So now to kind of segment away from the Cowboys, it's time for us to talk about Kyrie Irving. This is a very fun subject. I know we're all kind of opinionated on this one. So I guess I'm gonna start the question by asking Tony, are the Nets better without Kyrie Irving?
With like this season, or you're saying
yes,
in the future?
This season.
So the games I've watched without Kyrie, they've been meshing better. I think that's also because Dinwiddie deserves more minutes. I think Dinwiddie is a really good point guard, and I think they've been kind of thriving without Kyrie. But like at the same time, it's kind of dumb to say that a team is better without their like best player. Because I know like I think some of it are like alternative factors. Because especially going into the Celtics game and then like coming back to the Nets, I felt like the Nets kind of had Kyrie's back at home against the Celtics. Like he's still dapped up like Kemba and all them, so there's no bad beef. But I think like
and Tatum.
Like a fan perspective and like support, I definitely think like the Nets are all behind Kyrie, and him and KD really hit it off. So I think they're playing right now better with Kyrie, but you know like come playoff time
without
or like
Kyrie.
without Kyrie, like come playoff time or like serious games start to happen. Yeah, you want Kyrie.
Okay.
But currently, yeah, they are showing like more they're showing that they're going in the right direction, which they weren't in the beginning of the season. Because they were kind of you could admit as a Kyrie fan they were struggling. I don't know if that's a new team or what have you, or even the other players, they weren't playing as good with Kyrie.
The chemistry wasn't as meshed as it was.
Yeah, definitely.
Just going off Tony's point, I think it's kind of ridiculous to say that a team would be better without their best player. But you would have to look at you would have to consider.
But you're gonna say it anyways. Are you gonna say it anyways?
I'm not gonna say it.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say.
I changed his mind. I changed his mind.
I'm gonna say that the Nets would have been better if they stuck with D'Angelo Russell.
Ooh, hot take.
Hot. Also, last year I thought they outperformed everybody's expectations. Nobody had them making the playoffs. Everybody thought the Nets were gonna be one of the bottom teams, like competing for Zion, and they blew everybody's mind. Played a really tough series in the first round. They lost, but it was a good series anyway. And this season, even last season, but Dinwiddie's been going off. That man is cold. When Kyrie comes back, his minutes are going to go down, and he's not going to get as many touches because Kyrie's kind of a ball hog. But Dinwiddie should be a center point of the offense. I think he should be the guy touching the ball most of the time. I feel like when Kyrie has the ball, he doesn't really know how to distribute to his other players.
Yeah,
he doesn't contribute
they're watching.
to winning.
They're watching. They watch more and move less. And I think also to your point is that their roster did get better. I think they added more pieces with Kyrie than I think if you look at the rosters with Kyrie and with Russell, I think the supporting players are better with Kyrie.
The younger players got better too. Jared Allen.
LeVert has been hurt too. Just throwing that out there. Even when Kyrie was playing a little bit. Are you guys done?
Oh, I was just kind of supporting Ollie. I didn't know what he had left to say.
Can I speak
let
now?
You go.
You'll let me go?
Yeah.
All right. I just want to say this Kyrie slander as of late has been ridiculous. It has been awful. Right now it's the fun thing to do in sports is to hate on Kyrie. So let me say this. All right. The Nets record without Kyrie Irving is 6-3, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. 6-3. I think they were 4-7 with them.
Yeah.
But again, it's competition you play. 6-3, but 5 of those teams are below 500. Let me list them: Bulls, Hornets, Kings, Knicks, Cavs. None of those teams are good. Against the teams above 500, they're 1-3.
Good point.
And they lost today too.
Against who?
But that was one of the teams that was above. I think the Heat. They lost today, and it was against one of the teams. So I'm including that in there.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, so Kyrie's not there to help you beat bad teams. That team can beat bad teams on their own. Kyrie's there to put you over the top against the elite teams. I also want to spew out a stat. The Toronto.
What's their record with Kyrie against 500 teams? Above 500.
I'm not sure. I just know their overall record was 4-7 before he got hurt. I just want to spew out a stat that I think is very telling. The Toronto Raptors last year, without Kawhi Leonard, were 17-5. Is anyone willing to say that they were better without Kawhi Leonard? No one would say that. It's just because the media has something against Kyrie at the moment right now. If you look at the offense, look at their offense. With Kyrie, they're averaging 116.8 points per game. Without Kyrie, they were at 105. Right now, they're at 105 points per game. That's a 13-point difference. Their opponent. Okay, so their offense is clearly worse without Kyrie. Now, how they're making up for this is that their defense looks a lot better. The opponent's points per game with Kyrie, they're giving up 119.5 points per game. Now they're giving up 103 points per game. Do you think Kyrie Irving, as a defender, is worth him being on the court is worth 17 points that the other team is getting? No, it's not. No, it's not. The thing is, they're playing worse teams, so worse teams aren't going to score as much. So I think that just kind of goes to show that with Kyrie, they're a better offensive team, and they will be a better team overall against all the teams they play. They've just been luckily playing worse teams with Kyrie out.
They're 1-4 with Kyrie against above 500 teams.
So 1-4, 1-3. That was a good little stat you pulled up, but it is early in the season.
I just pulled up because I didn't know.
That is. It is.
You brought it up. You brought up a really good point, but I was just like,
you just want to see what it was.
Investigating. Yeah.
They beat the Rockets.
No, they did.
That was a good.
Yeah,
win.
good.
That was a
good win. Yeah.
But
okay, do you think he's really injured? Because I feel like a lot of the slander is from his comment and him being like injured, but not really
I think he's definitely injured.
No,
I
don't.
Last game before he
injured.
sat a few games out.
But there hasn't.
Against the Nuggets, I was watching that game.
But there hasn't been that much info on his like on the Bulls game. They just said he was sitting out. They didn't even say it was like a shoulder injury. And then the next game, they're like, oh, shoulder injury. And I feel like he kind of realized that.
Why is he sitting out?
Why is he sitting out now?
Because he knows next year's a year. I feel like especially with his comment that he made about like the whole NBA ordeal and like fans, like I think he's like one of those people like kind of like the Steph situation where he's taking a little more time because he knows like, oh, next year is like our year. Like, yeah, this year is just like, I mean, they're still going to win games. He's still going to try to win, but deep down, you know, you're not going to compete.
So, yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a sec. I just want to comment on one thing. So you said earlier, I think you said that Kyrie is no longer in your top 10.
Yeah, I put Paul George and Doncic for sure over him this season. But there's a couple other players I'm kind of like on the fence about. But for right now, he's like 11.
I would just like to say that this year, Kyrie's has the most points he's ever scored. Obviously, beginning of the year, 28.5. If that ranks 4th in the NBA in points per game. Assists, most he's ever had in his career, 7.2 assists a game. That would rank 11th in the NBA.
But if they're losing games, what value does that bring? You know, Doncic is putting up those numbers. Like they might be, they might look like a little less prolific, but the Mavs are like where they've never been before.
So you're basically saying that it's not so much what Kyrie isn't doing,
but
it's that other people are elevating past him.
No, I'm just saying like the Nets took a step back.
You think that other players are elevating past Kyrie where it's
I think this is Kyrie's whole motto is that like he will still produce, but like especially with like the Celtics last year, like they didn't win as much as they should, and like the Nets definitely took a step back. I mean, like Kyrie didn't. Like he's not playing bad. But
Kyrie's
the Nets
playing better than. Like,
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the Nets still are losing more games than last season.
Small
so
sample size too. He's only played
very small sample size. But like from what we've seen, they're losing more games than they did last year with him.
Yeah.
So those stats have a little less value, but they are very significant. That's a great point.
Yeah. No, I think
because that should be mentioned more.
Yeah, like
that he's averaging.
No one talks.
Nobody
8
Yeah, nobody talks about
29 and 7. Like that's elite. Like that's elite
and
as
Boston was saying like Kyrie's whatever, and I think he's averaging more than Kemba.
No, he is.
So I was like, okay. I mean like
the Nets are not as good of a team now. When KD comes back,
crazy.
Oh my god, bro! Because they're the same person. They are the same. That's why they're best friends. They're like the same person. So now, real quick, I just want to talk about kind of that little message he sent.
Yeah. Can we please address that?
Let's address that. Do you want to go ahead and start?
I mean, I'll say something first.
Go ahead.
I think Kyrie is the NBA's Antonio Brown. That guy always has some drama going around him. That's why people don't talk about his stats. He always has some type of drama.
That's kind of true.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know to extreme of Antonio Brown, but like
extreme.
Drama queen, like I definitely think Kyrie is that.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was the quote was kind of childish. I'd say it was childish because at the same time, you don't want to acknowledge what Boston did, but he made it a bigger deal than it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think it would have got that much publicity if he didn't make that comment, but now that he did, like, it turned into, like, a whole situation, and I feel like he could have handled that in a different situation. Like, as an NBA player, I wouldn't say anything, and I'm playing in that game against Boston, and I'm giving 130%. I'm everywhere. I'm getting buckets. Like, I'm showing them what they didn't have. Mm-hmm. But that's just me as a person.
Right.
And so like some of the reasons why I think Kyrie like isn't really injured is because of like that. Because I'm like, what NBA player wouldn't want to come like AD against the Pelicans? It wasn't even like a bad like. I mean, the Pelicans kind of disagreed, but everyone kind of knew that he wasn't gonna stay. And he like I just feel like, and then he played that game with a lot of passion. Like he got injured, and instead of sitting out, he came back and like played through it. And I just feel like with stars like Kyrie, that's what I expect. I expect more out of him, and I expect him to handle the situation better, rather than going to Instagram and dropping like a little like I don't know like a moody story. Because I feel like even if you asked him the day after, I don't think he would have given the same response.
Right.
Like if you would have asked him that question when they're in Brooklyn, it would have been totally different. And I feel like Kyrie's always been very fluctuating with his opinions. Like in Boston, he said he would stay there the whole time, and then 6 months later, he's gone. So
Yeah.
I just feel like he hasn't really had his word.
Okay.
He hasn't
So
represented his word.
I think Kyrie is genuinely hurt, kind of what we were talking about earlier. And I think if he plays next time, they go to Boston. Good
Yeah, he's gonna
lord!
go
I
off.
think.
Oh yeah, I
he's
want to
going
watch that
to
game.
have the
Popcorn,
game
everything.
his
Yeah, you gotta watch that
life.
game.
But anyway, so I think a lot of people are upset at the post because of obviously the timing, kind of everything that was around it. But personally, I support it. I support deeper thinking, and I think Kyrie is a deep thinker. And I kind of like to hear more opinions, more kind of the thought of NBA players. And I'd rather them say something than say nothing personally, because I kind of like hearing like insight, because I'm not an NBA player, so I don't know what it feels like, to go through what they go through. So I kind of like hearing that insight from an NBA player. And basically what I took from that code, it was literally a code what he wrote.
It was up to interpretation for
It's
sure.
very what I interpreted is that Kyrie, and kind of what I've always interpreted from Kyrie, or the vibe I've always got, is that he's conflicted between loving basketball and hating the NBA. You can see it. Like, this man loves the sport. You can just tell by the way he the time he takes to work on his moves, the art. He calls it an art. He even said it in the post. You can kind of see how much he loves the sport of it, but he hates the NBA. Like, he hates the extra drama that comes with the NBA. I think he was basically saying like people take the NBA way too serious in terms of the entertainment aspect. I think he was coming from like, this made him realize like, wow, people are really coming out to boo me. Like, people are really spending money so they could come out and boo me. And like me, Kyrie Irving, I'm just a person. Y'all are thinking so much about me. I'm so much in y'all's normal lives that y'all want to boo me and make fun of me or whatever. And I think he's just pointing that out. Yes, you can say he's a millionaire. He shouldn't have that's part of the job.
Do you think he's caused this drama for himself? I think he's self-inflicted a lot of these things. Like, I think in interviews, people have even said like how like moody he is, and like how he I think he does some of this to himself.
I think he hates
but
doing the
even
NBA
if you
stuff.
hate the NBA, if you just give them what they want to hear,
Yeah,
and then
know.
in your personal life, you
I
take
know.
that to your personal life. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. But kind of the last thing I want to say is, I think he kind of pointed out the shortcomings of the league, that people treat NBA players like objects rather than humans. He kind of said it. He kind of said like, people don't realize like life is way bigger than basketball. Like, people go through mental illness. I know that he had like a personal family loss, and I heard that like that loss he had in his family really weighed on him in Boston, and that kind of affected his mood swings or whatever. And I think he was basically saying like, I'm a person, like life is more important than this basketball entertainment that y'all are seeking out, and that at the end of the day, it's just entertainment. And he kind of said like, the only thing that keeps real hoopers wanting to be in the NBA is the art of the game, like the love for the game, where none of the real like NBA players like doing the NBA, the entertainment, the drama, the little bubble they're always in. And I think it's okay for him to point out the flaws in that system. I think it's okay for him to say, hey, this is what we go through. I know the timing was weird because of Boston, but I think that really opened his eyes to that and made it get to the point where like he felt like he had to come out and say something about it.
Yeah, Keon, I agree with you. I don't think the problem was what he said, even though it was like a lot of people
Open
interpret it in different
interpretation,
ways.
Yeah.
But I feel like the problem was when he posted it after the Celtics game. A lot of people had a problem with that because everybody was booing him. There was flyers that were hating on Kyrie or whatever.
Yeah.
And nobody disagrees with what you just said or the message that he was trying to like give out to everybody, to portray. And I mean, I imagine every NBA player just wants to hoop and most NBA players don't want to worry about all the media and everything, like all these fans hating on him. But
Yeah, he just doesn't know how to deal with like media, and kind of like some insider info, just like one of the things, his last like sports agency, I might like hop an internship there, but they left, he left them without saying a word. He didn't say one word to them. Signed to Rock Nation, and they found out through other people that he wasn't with them.
Yeah.
And they like, I just feel like that kind of shows like his whole career. He's a lot more focused on himself, and I feel like that kind of hurts him in like a negative way. And I think some of that also has to do with his team chemistry. I don't know, that's just me, but
Yeah, I mean, people have said that Kyrie's like a different kind of cat. Like
I think everyone
marches
could
to
tell.
the
Yeah,
beat of his own drum. Like,
yeah, definitely.
he's his own person, and I
100%.
kind of respect that just as a man. Like somebody kind of doing.
But do you think he had the right to like say all this stuff about the NBA? Like, I feel like a lot more people have had it worse. Like, no offense to him, but people have gone through like, you know, I feel like D Rose was relatively quiet in this situation.
No, people have
like,
had it worse.
I just feel like it wasn't his spot to say this, because the NBA has been a like well-oiled functioning system. I mean, I wouldn't say well-oiled, but like it's been a functioning system for a while now. And like I promote progressive thinking too, but like as long as you have like the merit to think that way, and like if you like, I know his family lost and everything, like not to denote that, but as like a whole, he hasn't gone through what other people have gone through.
I agree with that. Like obviously LeBron, when he left, got way more backlash, and you know, like people booed him for years, and he was the most hated guy for like a whole year or two. So yes, there's definitely been people who have had it worse, but I think just in human history, like just because someone has had it worse than you doesn't mean that you shouldn't speak on the like, I guess, injustices that you think are happening to you just because other people had it worse. So that's kind of my thought process on that.